Welcome, victims, to the Horr-Gasm podcast, the show where the serial killer isn't coming for you, you're coming for them. I'm Nick, and this is my co-host, Allie. Thank you for joining us wherever you are.
That was my Frankenstein impression.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
Pretty good.
Thanks. We're going into the long weekend now. Finally, some semblance of a summer happening finally in the prairies.
A bit.
But it's usually warmer this time of year, isn't it?
No,
So-
this is about right.
Is it? 'Cause it's going to be like 20-ish, sort of.
For me, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember. Like, I know that July and August are always, like, the heckin' hot months. But, ooh.
Okay.
Your microphone just decided to do the limbo.
It did.
Did you loosen that little screw right that I'm pointing at right here?
I tightened that up.
Did you?
Yeah.
Fun.
So should I just talk while I fix?
Yeah. Welcome to the Horr-Gasm podcast where I fill dead air. My name's Alana, Jazzy J, and
Okay, fix. For now.
For now.
Until it drops again, then I'll just pick it up again.
I gotta say, it was kind of pretty watching it though. Like, it was like, as it was like falling over, and it just did like a very slow collapse, like a lady fainting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh,
So it's
Frankenstein.
week 2 of Classic
Woo, woo.
Horror Month, and we did Frankenstein this week.
Every one we watch, I'm enjoying it more and more. You know, like, it's just the novelty of, like, the era that it's in.
Yep.
It's just, like, it's kind of fun. Yeah. Right?
I agree.
Yeah, it's just, like, in the beginning, it's like, ooh, you know, that's crazy. That would never happen nowadays. And now it's kind of like, I don't know, I like it. I like the cuts and the brooding and the
Black and white.
black and
the
white.
color.
not much music, like...
There was a little bit in
There
this.
was a bit, but even, like, different shots, like, of, the monster, I guess, walking around, there's no music, and it's like,
No.
man, if there's, like, some foreboding music or something, like, you just, like we talked about in Dracula last week, you just kind of miss it.
Yeah, even like a bit like a violin. Just
Yes.
like just one note
Yes.
as he's approaching. That's
Yes,
all they need. All they need.
exactly.
But again, this is a time where music was seen as distracting. It
Exactly.
didn't help the movie.
Which is so interesting. But I guess because probably before they talked, what were the silent movies?
Yeah.
It was all music, basically, wasn't it?
Yep, music. Yeah, someone actually was playing as the movie was playing in the theater, wherever it was. He was there live, playing
Right.
through the movie, and there'd be subtitles when people
That's
talk.
crazy. Yeah, so maybe that's part of the reason why it made it look campy or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's just one of those things that I kind of, when I'm watching it, that's one of the things I really miss.
Yeah,
It's just the music, just in places where it's like, that would make sense. This would make sense. That's all.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and for Talking Chop this week, we thought we would talk about Frankenstein.
well, there's a lot to talk about. There's
There
been a
is.
bunch of Frankenstein movies, spin-offs, takes on it,
Yeah. It-
spoofs.
It's just one of those movies that, like, everybody knows. It's just like Dracula. Everybody knows the story of Frankenstein.
Well, it's like cinema history. It's history
yes.
in general, and
yes.
it's based on a book by Mary Shelley. No, yeah, Mary
Yeah,
Shelley.
yeah.
And it was written in 1818. Like, this is an over 200-year-old novel.
Story, yeah.
Exactly. And
He's like the OG zombie.
yeah.
Right?
Well, Jesus.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
No, I'm not.
I never thought of that.
But Tracy, he wasn't alive to begin with.
Right.
Or, not monster. I know there's two sides to people with calling him Frankenstein.
Right.
Or
Right.
Frankenstein's a monster.
Yeah.
There's two sides. They're both right, to be fair.
Yeah.
Being the creation of Frankenstein, of Henry.
Yes.
Although that's something in the movie they changed it. The original was Henry Frankenstein. I always thought it was Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just did.
I thought it was too. Must
But-
have been another something else we watched.
Yeah.
Is this based directly off of Mary
Oh, yeah.
Shelley's? Is it?
Yeah. This
Okay.
is direct, as best they could anyways.
Sure.
But since the monster was created by Frankenstein, he was his parent,
right.
God. To an extent, his last name is Frankenstein.
For
the
sure.
Monster. They always call him monster, the beast, or the thing, the creature, but...
Yeah. But I understand, just because you kind of want to give something a name, you want to call him Frankenstein, which I understand would kind of be his last name, kind of like what you're saying, I think, because that's just how you would address him. That's... Yeah, I don't really care either way. There's people who are like, oh, I watched this good Frankenstein movie. Like, actually, it's not Frankenstein. It's not Frankenstein's monster. It's like, oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, the Frankenstein is he's the scientist who made him. Yes, I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Tips. I totally forgot. I just brain fart.
Oh.
Gah. People.
Yeah.
Can't enjoy anything anymore.
No, apparently not.
So
it's been so it's in the history. It is cinema history and legend that it's one of the movies that everyone knows about. Everyone's heard of.
Yes.
It's the creature that was created through different parts of different dead people.
Right.
Stitched together, threw a brain in, zapped with lightning, and boom, he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, like I said, it's been parodied. It's been done. It's one of the themes that can never get old.
Exactly.
It can't.
Nope.
They've done it. I would say they've done it to death because you can't. Got that? Yeah. You can't. It's just it's so classic.
I agree.
And you can always take a spin.
Yeah.
You can always twist it, change it, and make it fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I know they did that with the newer Frankenstein with what's his name? Oh, he was Two-Face in Batman Return or The Dark Knight.
Aaron Eckhart?
Yes. I think that was the latest.
Mm-hmm. It's been a minute since they've put one out. Hasn't it been?
That was like a couple years, maybe 2 years old.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was older than that. Okay.
But it's something you can always go back to.
Right.
They always seem to add him to, when you think of, again, the monster Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Especially Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and then just kind of but switching up between the Mummy and the Invisible Man.
I agree.
To be fair, he's on there. The Invisible Man, he's invisible. You can't see him on Mount Rushmore.
Definitely.
But those are the four. Five.
Yeah, I agree.
And they've been used over and over and over and over again. And the Monster Squad, that's what it was about.
Yes.
They threw them all together, which you haven't seen yet.
I to be fair, I watched part of it on Amazon Prime.
Oh.
And I forget what I was doing. I think I had partaken in some alcoholic beverages or some leafy green substances.
Yes.
And I was having trouble focusing. And so I was like, this is not the time to watch Monster Squad because I know you love it. And it was messing me up a bit. And I was like, ugh, different time.
Yeah, so you got Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, there's been countless. That's almost been... Vampires and werewolves have been basically bled dry for movies and content.
Yes.
And it's always the same thing.
Yes.
But they're always different and good.
Mm-hmm.
Twilight doesn't count. It doesn't. And they always kind of combine those two.
Mm-hmm.
Van Helsing did a great job where they got the werewolf, they got the vampire, and they threw in Frankenstein.
I love that movie.
And he is always, I don't think from the beginning,
right.
Frankenstein's always been seen as the sympathetic villain.
Sure.
He's not, it's not his fault. He
was created,
and then in his first movie, like the very first one, he was created through an abnormal brain from a criminal. Right. That was the brain they used. Because Fritz, not Igor.
Yeah,
Fritz.
That bothered me more than the Victor thing.
And such the imagery that goes with the movies.
Yes.
Or the Frankenstein. You have the scientist.
Yes.
A little crazy, a little mad. He likes to use dead bodies.
He's not crazy.
No. No. You got the helper, who always has a hunchback.
Oh,
a little
yes.
twisted. Again, I'm sure he was in Van Helsing. Like all these tropes are attached and apart, and they work.
Yes. And that it's alive.
Yes.
It's alive.
Like that's one of the most probably well-known quotes in movies of all time.
Everybody knows what it's from. Like either that or Robot Chicken.
Yes.
Because that's what I always think of when I hear it.
I would argue that by saying the last 10 to 15 years of people, or I won't say kids, but
Sure.
the newest generation.
Mm-hmm.
You basically, if you did a poll, if we walked around Saskatoon and
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, where are some of these quotes, classic quotes from? Do you know?" and brought some up, they'd be like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I know.
Sadly, they wouldn't know.
You know what really bugs me, Nick?
What?
So I'm a millennial on TikTok. And there's this trend going around of people singing this song. And one of the lines in the song is, "Do I make you horny, baby?" And they don't know what it's from.
Austin Powers.
Right. And I thought that was the thing. But then this woman put it on and she's like, they don't know what it means. They just think it's a lyric in a song. And I was like, I've never, very, very, I'm not 30 yet, but I'm, getting there. And I never feel old. And I felt so old. I was like, is this it? Is this the time? This is the thing that's going to break me as Austin Powers?
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Do I make you randy?
Horny. Don't make you horny, baby. That's such a good movie.
That would kind of be a fun one to do for our not horror month.
Fake Horr-Gasm?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, geez.
Oh, it's been a long day. Yeah, but when you say Monster Squad, I always think of Hotel Transylvania, which I know is so lame, but they have all the monsters there, and they're all like a dad squad.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Well, who's in that movie? Frankenstein.
Yes. Yes.
I could spend the next 5-10 minutes going through a bunch of movies where he's in. There's Young Frankenstein.
Oh,
I'm going to do right now.
Please.
There's Young Frankenstein, which is the Mel Brooks spoof of the Frankenstein movies. He kind of took the first three, threw them together, and said, boom, threw in his lovely Mel Brooks comedy, and had a classic.
It's so good. I haven't seen it in a minute.
I haven't either. And I'm sad about that. I should get that movie.
But Gene Wilder, is just my lifeblood. So
what else is good for Frankenstein movies?
Well,
Hotel Transylvania.
Yes. And they call him Frank, and he's just that awkward dad guy. Yeah. And I love that.
The Munsters.
Oh, sure.
The Munsters. They took the Frankenstein design.
Yeah.
Threw in, and I forget the actor who played, what's his first name now? Not Frank. But.
Yes, yeah.
But he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And he had the look down, the walk down.
Yes.
And now such a great series.
You know who I kind of always associated with Frankenstein as well? Lurch from the Addams Family.
Yes, I'm sure there was a bit of
he has to,
connection.
Hey?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really speak. He just kind of kind of grunts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of, he has the same head look, sort of, as the Frankenstein
He's got
this
the
one.
Tall, the kind of rigid.
Yes. Yeah, there's lots of good. And when you were talking about sympathetic, I always think of, we already talked about it, but Van Helsing. The Frankenstein in that movie, I cried.
Yeah.
It is sad. But he's just, such a nice guy. And he's just I don't understand what I can do to, fit in with common people. I'm never going to be able to. And it's so sad.
And it goes right to the don't judge a book by the cover.
Yes.
But that, again, depends on the Frankenstein monster.
Right.
It's either deranged and dangerous.
Yes.
Or
misunderstood.
Misunderstood and just, it's like a child.
Scared.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
If you were, what if they took a female's brain?
Yes.
And threw it in a stitched-together male's body?
Yeah.
It would be so screwed up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
confused.
know how. It would take a while to relearn if this would work. We're just going by pure fiction here. They were planning to put I'd do a head transplant last year. That was a plan.
Oh.
Last year, year before, it never happened. But
interesting. Yeah,
some guy who has this condition where he basically can't move his whole body, kind of just ridges up.
Ooh.
He's like, yeah, we'll do a surgery, we'll put your head on a new body.
Yeah.
And he's like, sure, great. It never happened. But, yeah.
Crazy.
Also, there's the, Dracula had the Bram Stoker's take.
Yes.
There was in the 90s Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Robert De Niro as the monster. Great movie. Again, they kind of went back to the more sympathetic creature.
Yeah, which you think, like, even in this movie, like, you kind of understand why he's so vicious when Fritz comes at him with, like, a whip and a torch.
Like, Fritz is a jerk. He is a head of an ass.
Yes.
Just terrible.
Like, and so you're like, yeah, no wonder he's like a caged animal.
Yeah.
Because they chain him up and torture him, basically.
Well, they say they keep him in the dark for 2 days straight.
Yes.
Well, there's a reason there. Like, and they show him some lights. Like, reaches out to grab it, and they shut it.
Yeah, shut the lights. Like, god damn, you guys. Like,
they're mean. They're nice.
Yeah, so rude.
And and even this movie itself had some controversy. When it was first, like I told you before, we were going to watch. The Kansas in the States wanted it 35 minutes of it cut.
Right.
Due to content, which was so controversial.
So crazy.
And bad.
And unheard of.
Terrible for their Christian values. And the movie was like, no, that's half the movie. We can't do that.
Yeah.
We'll make some changes, but not what you want. And they did, and they made it work. Ireland or Scotland had an issue with the whole movie and said, hey, nope, you can't show it due to being too bad.
Same, though.
Yeah. being just not good for wholesome people and due to shock value and all that.
Interesting.
And they had to go and basically get not a license, but like a certificate saying, hey, I can watch this movie. I am of sound mind and body to survive the movie.
Isn't that interesting how times have changed?
Yeah, and the one thing which I'm glad they kept in this version we saw, when he's roaming around and he stumbles across this little girl.
Yes.
Who was just the Dickens, but dumb as a doornail. And Monster shows up and she's like, hey, do you want to play? And the monster, yep. So she gives him some flowers and they kind of pop the heads off and throw it in the lake. Well, he runs out. He's like, well, what else can I throw now? And he grabs a girl. And she's like, oh, you're hurting me. He just tosses her into the water. Now, in the original version, they cut that out. They basically had him stand up, walk toward the girl, and cut.
That's crazy. If you guys hear my beeping, my beans are done. Just ignore that beeping. Okay. It's done now.
I wasn't sure if that was a
no, it's fine.
Or not. Okay,
no, it's good.
But I guess they saw that scene as so shocking that they had to cut it out.
Isn't that interesting?
And they just had the dad walk in with the body.
Crazy.
So,
because nowadays, like, it's just like, children are free range.
Yeah.
Fair game. Kill them, don't kill them.
30 Days of Night.
Head
loosening and.
Ooh. Or what was that? Demon Night, where that kid just gets fucked. That little kid. Ooh-wee. Yeah. It's just crazy how times have changed. Yeah. Ugh. But I'm really excited to talk about this. Should we get into it?
I think we should. We've talked enough. Let's get into some Frankenstein.
We can never talk enough. How dare you?
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
All right, so this week we watched Frankenstein. It is a 1931 movie. It was directed by James Whale. Good last name, James. And written by John L. Balderson. But based upon the composition by Mary Shelley, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet. So Nick, how did you hear about this movie?
I was a kid. Just from cartoons and just lore.
Yeah.
Classic.
It's just another one of those movies you just know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And I always, because my mom's name was Shelley. I
Right.
always loved that connection. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Shelley, I'm like, I have a connection to this movie in this book, just by name. Name alone.
Yeah.
And I liked it. That's one reason I liked it. It never scared me.
Yeah.
This big lumbering guy who was kind of stitched together with a brain. It wasn't scary.
Sure.
It didn't bring me any bad feelings or nothing. It was interesting just how you could create something from nothing, throw some lightning in, and poof, it's alive.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
It's alive.
It's alive. It's alive.
It's interesting. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't find the story overly scary, I guess. It's just nothing, I don't know. I've heard Bride of Frankenstein is creepier.
Yeah.
I don't actually know that, but that whole idea of it, I feel like the dead coming back to life is already done to death with zombies, and just Frankenstein, like, just sort of with his very slow movements, not overly smart, like, as long as you kind of stay away with him, you're fine. No?
Yeah, that's also what I liked about the 90s movie.
Yes.
They made him a little more grotesque. And I think that's the scare
That
factor.
would help.
That would be the scare factor, is that in this movie, he's just got a little bit of stitching and bolts in the neck.
Yeah, like,
And
there's
a
not
flat
much
top.
else. Like, even his wrists and stuff, like, don't look very...
Yeah, just come scarred up from being stitched. And one on his forehead.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
I could see if it was a lot more like different body parts.
Sure.
A lot more massacre was done.
Mm-hmm.
More of a butcher job.
Yeah.
That'd be more scary.
For sure.
If he had different colored eyes. I think he actually does in that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein version. He has different colored eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He's got kind of like a hair lip on the side. It's a lot more of a rush job.
Right.
And that would be more terrifying. I'd be more scared because he's more, instead of looking more normal, he got one arm longer. Maybe he's got one arm is from a black man, or just different parts.
Sure.
Instead of just being as is.
Everything, yeah.
Like you could have like a nose like from Nemesis.
Right.
There's a lot more they can put into there. And again, it was a book.
Mm-hmm.
And the book, I haven't read the book. I should. I'm sure that's a lot more detailed, or even left to the imagination. And I'm sure people went just crazy and
definitely
terrifying over what it could look like.
Because you'd think if you're making something like this, you'd use more like the best body parts, kind of very like a la Silence of the Lambs, basically, right? Yeah. Or like Ed Gein. Like, it's just, using the best body parts for that kind of stuff, as twisted as it is. But, like, obviously in 1931 they had their limitations, and I feel that. But it's just like, makeup still existed, you know?
Like, to really think about it, if it went super technical, it would be at least a couple of years to build this body up from nothing, from pieces.
For sure. And how do you keep it fresh? Like, do you keep it in your freezer? Does it get freezer burnt?
That's good point. Good point. That's kind of more realism.
Exactly. Right.
Possible. That's why I think a newer version, which I would mind seeing, a very now modern, or even a future take of Frankenstein would be very interesting to see. Yeah,
it would.
It would totally be interesting because it'd be more scientific. They can kind of just fancy it up.
Yeah. Well, that's like I don't know if you've watched on Netflix, but the Santa Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore, Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
They stopped it after the third season now, which I was really sad about because I actually really liked it. But it's basically they get infected by this like Serbian curse, sort of, and they basically turn into zombies. So they die, in quotations, but they don't actually physically die. They just kind of throw up like gallons and gallons of puke. And then they pass out, and then they wake up, and they're fine.
Oh.
Fine, in quotations. But they start dying. And their body, over the years, slowly starts, like, falling apart, basically. And it's just, like, how do you keep yourself together?
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it was kind of a cool take on it. But that's the thing, is that, like, you can kind of start using different body parts to keep yourself alive, as long as you know how to keep yourself alive.
Sounds like the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. Yes! That's another one. Yeah. Yeah, it's just weird how all this different lore sort of can play into the same notion of Frankenstein, right?
Like, again, go back to Van Helsing.
Yes.
He's part mechanical. Like,
right. What
parts that whoever made Frankenstein, I forget how it's in for a while.
Right.
Whoever made it didn't have all the parts. They replaced with mechanical versions. Like his top of his head kind of pops open.
Yes.
And you see like this artificial brain or something inside. He's got like a power center in his chest. And it's a cool idea. I like the idea of having part human, part mechanical, like a cyborg.
I was going to say that's kind of cyborgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so would cyborgs kind of be like modern day Frankenstein?
They could be.
Futuristic Frankenstein? General Grievous? General
Could be.
Kenobi.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Well, let's go through
Yeah,
the cast.
let's go through.
Let's go through the cast. We're having a good time here.
Yeah.
So,
Always.
we'll start off with Colin Clive, who played Henry Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Mae Clark played Elizabeth.
The lovely Elizabeth.
Yes. She played. She was Henry's bride, fiance.
Yeah.
We had John Bowles as Victor Moritz, which I thought he was his brother.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Huh. He was
Best
just
friend.
best friend.
Best friend, I guess. The classic Boris Karloff as the monster.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
What's he look like too? Are you on IMDb?
He kind of looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah, he really does. Frankenstein with like not so big of a forehead.
No, but the eyes. The
Yes.
eyes give away. He does some good eye work.
Mm-hmm.
We have Edward Van Sloan as Dr. Waldman. Frederick Kerr as Baron Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight Fry as Fritz. Lionel Belmore as the Burgomeister. And Marilyn Harris as Little Maria.
Oh yes, yes, of course.
And then
She does a really good job, I gotta say.
She does, although her dad is a little goofy. Just with how he was waving goodbye and just how he was talking to her. Just kind of like, not, I think he is new. He was a new actor.
Yeah,
They got
I
him
would say.
cheap. They paid cheap for him.
Yeah, and even like, my Maria's dead. It's like, okay, she was murdered. Oh, okay, why are you here?
What do you want?
Yeah.
Vengeance! Well, let's get into the review itself.
Yes. Not a very long movie.
No. Like
No.
These were the old...
It's like 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Wasn't
I
it?
think 73.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. It was very short, which is kind of nice. Like, I kind of like a short movie.
Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
there's not a lot to it. Basically, guy makes monster goes
Escapes.
escapes and goes
To a windmill.
crazy, kills some people, they chase, the mob gets them, done.
Yes. And that's the thing is that we all know the story,
Yeah.
right? It's just interesting to watch it actually play out on the big screen.
Yeah. So let's start off with in a village in the Bavarian Alps. And I love how it's a German.
Yes.
And it's very German theme, this movie.
Yes.
A young scientist named Henry Frankenstein and his assistant Fritz, a hunchback, who was
Yes.
a little shit,
Yeah, who sucks.
a head of ass, pieced together a human body. So we got
Yes.
them kind of snooping in like a funeral.
Yes.
They're dumping the body. They're burying the body.
It's like 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
heave-ho, into the grave.
And they go and dig up the body and take the coffin back with them. And they come across this other person who was hung.
Mm-hmm.
And so Frankenstein sends Fritz up there to cut the body down and it drops.
Yep.
And he's like, oh no, the neck's broken. It's no good. The brain's no good. So Henry sends Fritz to the school where he used to work to get a brain.
Yes.
And at the time, they have a bit of a lecture
A
going
lecture,
on,
yeah.
showing, there's a dead body cadaver, and they had a good brain and a bad brain, abnormal brain.
Yes.
And he's trying to explain, see the bumps here, the things here. This is a bad brain.
Yeah.
So Fritz goes in, and he's
Mm-hmm.
snooping around. There's this huge kind of skeleton that kind of bobs a lot.
Yeah.
Why bobs? I have no idea. But it scares him.
Yes.
And a golem scares him. And
Yes.
he has like the good brain, and he drops it, and it smashes. He's like, shit. So he grabs the bad brain and
Yeah.
sneaks out.
He's like, this'll do. This
Yeah.
is no problem. But honestly, he probably can't read.
No,
You know?
No, he's slow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he brings the brain back to Henry Frankenstein. Henry's such a lame name.
I always thought it was Victor.
Right?
I swear it was Victor.
Sounds more... Why is Victor more of a villainous name?
I don't.
My sister's name is Victoria.
Victor Von Doom. That was Dr. Doom's full name.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Just Victor Frankenstein
Victor's
rolls
just-
off the tongue.
Just bad.
Yeah.
Bad name.
Henry sounds like he owns a farm in the South.
Or a car dealership.
Right. Come down. Happy Henry's Cars.
Yeah.
Oh my
Instead
God.
of Villainous Victor's
Emporium.
Emporium. Yes. So we then meet up with Henry's fiancée Elizabeth, and she's worried with. She's kind of confiding.
Hanging out with his best
Confiding
friend.
to Victor.
She's S in the D. Let's just be honest.
Oh yeah, like there's something going on between those two, and
yes,
they're trying to figure out, what's going on. She wants to go and see him.
Mm-hmm. I care so much for him.
Yeah, and so they decide, he's gonna go see him. She's like, I'm coming too.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you can't. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it didn't take long to change his mind. So they go grab Dr. Waldman.
Yep.
And go find Henry Frankenstein up in his little secluded area, because he was doing some work in school.
Yes.
And then Waldman's like, "Get out of here! What you want, we can't give you. You want bodies."
Yes, his experiments he wasn't concerned about animals. He didn't want to test on animals. He only wanted to test on humans.
Well, I think he did that first, and then
yes.
he wanted to step it up.
Yeah.
And
see if his ideas worked.
Yes. So he grabbed Fritz for somewhere,
mm-hmm.
and Hunchback College.
Yeah.
And went to his little secluded, like, what was it? Like a castle, like a tower.
Yes.
And he'd been working there for quite a while. So they go there, and this is the night where he's going to do his experiments.
Yes.
Get the body ready, brains in, there's a big thunderstorm,
mm-hmm.
and knock, knock, knock. He's like, he tells Fritz, get rid of him, we're busy. So Fritz kind of stumbles down with his cane.
Yes.
Telling him, I'll make him go away, I'm the best here, and Master's busy, piss off.
Yeah.
And so they're yelling up into the window, Henry, it's us, let us in, we miss you.
Yeah.
She's like, fine.
Yeah.
Brings him in. And he was like, sit him down, like, all right, just watch.
Yeah.
He kind of explains it to Waldman.
Well, he walks up and he's like, I'm not crazy, guys. Like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Then after he's like, one crazy man and three sane.
Yeah.
Who's crazy now?
It's if you have to tell somebody you're not crazy.
Yeah. So he kind of shows him the body. Dr. Waldman's inspecting a bit.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, it's not going to work. You're crazy.
Right.
And Fred's like, it's going to work. Watch me.
Yeah.
And so he does the whole thing with the machine. Up goes Frankenstein
mm-hmm.
to the top. And lightning happens, brings it back down, and he starts moving. His arm goes up. And Frankenstein goes crazy. He's so excited. He's like, it's alive. It's alive.
Yes.
I'm a god. He basically calls himself God.
Yes.
And
but I mean, when you're playing with life and death, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's so excited.
Yeah, he's ecstatic. He's freaking out.
Yeah. And then we kind of get to see him because Frankenstein and Waldman kind of stick around to try and figure things out.
Yes.
And he's explaining, it's been 2 days, he's very childlike.
Yes.
He's still learning.
Yeah, he's just, because he's like, it's a new brain, it takes a while to figure itself out.
Yeah. So he comes in the room, and he hasn't seen any light for 2 days. And they eventually, they open the window, and he sees light, and he kind of reaches out for it, and they shut it. When Igor comes in.
Fritz.
Fritz, sorry, Fritz. So he's called Igor.
I know!
Why? I think it's from the sequels. They changed his name.
Good.
But he's got a torch, and he's just a dicked old monster here.
It is abuse.
Oh, yeah.
And I know he's not alive, and he's a monster or whatever, but it is abuse.
Oh, yeah. They end up sedating the monster and putting him back into his cell.
Yes.
And Fritz walks in, and he starts whipping at him with a whip.
Yes.
And he's just being a jerk. And Frankenstein's like, stop it, Fritz, stop.
But, even in this scene, Fritz has a torch.
Yeah.
And he walks up, and Henry's
Just
like, get that away, get that torch away. And he keeps, putting it in his face. And Henry's like, get away.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah. So he's freaked out. And he tries to attack a bit. And they subdue him.
As you do.
Yeah, they subdue him, and they end up putting him in a cell.
Yes.
And again, Fritz goes and whips him as he being a jerk.
Yes. And they chain him up, and then he's chained up so he can't move. So then Fritz is whipping him over and over. And then Henry takes the whip, and he's like, Fritz, that's enough. Just let him be. So he comes back with the torch.
Yeah, and he's whipping him with the torch, and he's scared.
I'm not saying you should be evil, but I'm just saying I would be evil too.
Yeah. So Frankenstein's the monsters, he's freaking out, and you got Waldman and Frankenstein upstairs kind of just trying to figure out what they're going to do about this monster.
Yes.
And they hear a scream.
Yes.
And that sounds like Fritz. They go down and check. Fritz is hung.
Yeah.
From God knows what. From the ceiling. And they like crap. So they try and get out, and the monster tries to chase them out, and they're like, "Nope, get in there." And basically, Waldman kind of convinces we gotta take.
We gotta put him down. Yeah.
And
It's
and
not
then,
really murder because he's not really like alive.
Yeah,
Right?
we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
And we go to Frankenstein's father, and
Yep.
he's this old kind of
Well-to-do man.
eccentric kind
Yes.
of guy, and he doesn't understand why his son's not here right now with him, about to marry Elizabeth.
Yeah.
He thinks there's another woman,
Yes.
so he's like, "I'm gonna go see him right now." And they're like, "No, don't." He's like, "No, I'm gonna go see him
Yeah.
right now."
I'm gonna find this other woman, and we're gonna figure this out. And we're gonna get you married.
Exactly. So he's
And
going
Elizabeth
there
is
with-
like, okay.
So he goes there with Victor.
Yeah.
No, Victor comes after. He goes there with
Yeah.
Elizabeth. And Victor shows up a little sooner. He's like, just so you know, your dad and Elizabeth are coming.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankenstein's like, well, crap, we got a dead body in here. We got the monsters all freaking out.
Yes.
We got to get him. We
Yeah.
got to sedate him. So they kind of trick him, lure the monster out, and Waldman,
He has a hypodermic needle. Yeah.
and kind of knocks him out.
Yes.
This is where he gets knocked down. Monster starts to try and choke, which is kind of his means to kill. He kind of tries to choke Henry. And kind of kicks in.
Yes.
And he drops, and they kind of throw him back in the room. And yeah, so he's his dad kind of convinces him to come home,
Yes.
smarten up.
Yeah,
And
he
Elizabeth.
kind of like passes out a bit, and they're like, "Oh, Henry."
Yeah, he kind of has like this too much.
Yes.
Too much stress. And
Which, like, yeah, you just brought somebody back to life. Like,
yeah,
you're crazy.
yeah. So Waldman's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of the monster. Go home."
Yes.
So he does. He goes home, and he's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see Waldman. He's ready to do. Apparently, he's writing his little journal saying that the injections are working less and less.
Yeah. So, like, obviously trying to keep him sedated, hey?
Yeah, it's not working. He's become more resistant to all the stuff that he's pumping into him.
Right.
And he thinks he's dead.
Yes.
He's going to do an autopsy.
Yes.
And he doesn't see the hand come up behind him and grab his neck, and the monster kills Waldman.
Yeah. Kind of looks like he's going to give him a hug, but he's not.
Or a slap on the ass.
Yeah.
Um,
Good game.
and they're getting ready to get married, Henry and Elizabeth.
Yes.
Whole town's all pumped up and ready to go. And
They've all been waiting for this, apparently.
Yeah. And also after Waldman gets killed, the monster, he escapes.
Yes.
He walks out, he kind of walks by his cell, which he reacts poorly. He kind of gets scared, like, bad memories.
Mm-hmm.
Out the door he goes, and he's free.
Yes.
So as people are getting all this wedding ready, we see him kind of lumbering through the wilderness and the countryside, and we come across Maria and her father.
Right.
And he's got to go and do some work. Stay here, I'll be back soon.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay, Daddy, won't you come play with me? He's like, no, honey, I gotta go. And it's very cheap. It's
Yes.
kind of comical, just their exchange. So he leaves, and she has this cat in a very, very weird...
A chokehold?
Yeah. Kind of
It
like
is strange.
It's like what Frankenstein did to Waldman.
Yes.
Like same pose. Hand back the neck and just squeezing that poor cat.
Yes.
And so she goes to the lake to go play with flowers and her kitty, and Frankenstein kind of shows up. And he's all... And she's like, just not even scared. No reaction. Like, hey, come play with me. So he kneels down.
Yeah.
And she's like, here's a flower. And she gives him the flowers. And she's like, look, I can make a boat. Throws the flower head into the water and floats. And so does Frankenstein. Does the same thing. They're having fun. And he runs out.
Yes.
And he picks her up. And she's like, oh, you're hurting me. And tosses her in the pool.
And he yeets her right into the river.
And here, I need help. And then she goes.
Nothing.
She doesn't float back up.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankenstein, he kind of freaks out. He's just bothered by this.
Yeah.
And kind of stumbles away.
Yeah. And he kind of like looks panicked for a second and then just runs.
Yeah.
So, there she goes.
Down she goes again. But stay.
But so then she knows.
Yeah.
So then after he does all that, then we cut back to the wedding.
Back to the wedding.
And Elizabeth has called Henry. She's like, she needs to see him. So he comes into the room, And she's like, tells the bridesmaids, like, can you let us be for a sec? And they're like, oh, okay, fine, I guess. And kind of like watch as the door closes. And she's like, Henry, something bad's gonna happen. I feel it.
Yeah, she's
And
kind
he's
of
like,
freaking
why?
out.
Yeah.
Apparently she needs a southern accent in Germany.
Yeah, I know. Just, well, whenever she talks, I'm just like, what is that drawl? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, she's kind of concerned over something. She
Yes.
can't tell what, but she knows something bad's going to happen.
Yes, she can't place exactly what she's feeling, but she's got that women's intuition.
Yeah, and what does Henry do? Locks her in a room.
Yeah,
And
as you do when a woman, tells you what to do.
And he hears the monster.
Yes.
And so searching the whole house, like this huge mansion, for
Yeah.
the monster.
Yeah.
And we see him in the window by Elizabeth. He breaks it, walks in.
Yeah.
Doesn't break, it's already open.
Yeah.
And chases her down. And she screams, it kind of imitates her a bit.
Yeah.
And they race to her room and we find her kind of laid across her bed.
Yes.
Kind of either shot.
In her fainting chair, isn't it?
Those are bad.
Is it a bed? Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's kind of implied he did something to her. Nothing sexual. But
Right.
yes, he was violent.
Yes.
Or she freaked out and he ran away because he was scared.
Right.
And so they start, and just before this, Maria's dad comes in with her dead body,
Right.
wanting someone to avenge her murder,
Yes.
find the murderer. And so after this, they form a mob
Mm-hmm.
with the Baronmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got 3 groups: his,
Right.
Frankenstein's, and someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the father's.
Right.
And they're splitting up with all their torches and pitchforks and going to find this guy and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Or bring him alive, but get him.
Right.
And so they're going through, and we got Frankenstein, his group, up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's where Frankenstein's monster is.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets separated from his group because they're dumb. and he's dumb for going his own different way.
Seems to be a lot of that going on in this
Yeah.
movie.
And, of course, they meet up, and the monster just kind of manhandles him, knocks him down.
Yes.
They hear, the Bob hears his kind of yell,
Mm-hmm.
and so they start to chase them to a big windmill. And
Yes.
Frankenstein kind of, the monster just throws him on his shoulder and walks into the windmill, takes him
So
upstairs.
iconic. I knew this scene, and I've never seen this movie, but I know this scene.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how. It must have been, like, obviously I've watched some iteration of it before. Because
Yeah.
I knew the whole windmill scene. I was like, I know what's going to happen. I know the fire. I know everything that's about to happen.
Yeah.
But, so a fight ensues between the monster and Frankenstein, like Henry.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of, like, going blow for a bit.
Well, not so much blow for blow, but...
But, yeah, he's kind of chasing him, basically, I guess. To the very, very tippy top. So they get to the top, and he grabs him, basically, and just hucks him off the top.
Well, it's more of a struggle.
Yeah.
And then, he kind of just tosses him off.
Yeah.
And he got the nice dummy body, and he
But
hits...
they must have actually used, like, thrown a dummy off of the top of the windmill,
They
right?
had to have, because it hits the windmill, and it swings back the other way, and it looks just rough.
Yeah,
Like, he
it's
lands
very comical.
a bit, but it feels real like
Yes.
he's hurt bad.
Yeah.
And they kind of pick up his body and go back to the village, thinking he's just a little bruised.
Yeah.
Whereas like his body went half backwards, and they decide burn the mill,
Yes.
burn the windmill, and they do. So they
Yes.
burn the mill, and it's very sad
Yes.
how the monster reacts to the
Yes.
flame and fire. He's trying so hard to get away and he can't.
Yes.
And he's going through the one window and out the door.
The trap doors,
Yeah.
like,
He's just engulfed.
Yes.
He's surrounded. And then a piece of wood falls and traps him.
mm-hmm.
And he has to lay there and scream as the windmill basically burns down.
Yes. It's so sad.
And you think that's the end. Nope. We then cut to the maids coming to give Henry Frankenstein some
And they're
old
like,
wine.
they're giddy.
Yeah, they're so excited. They were going to give it to him, and he would give it to us. And his dad showed up and like, oh yes, this is good thing. His grandfather didn't or my grandfather or something didn't drink this. Ha ha ha. And he's like, you know what? No, I don't think I don't think Henry needs this.
Yes.
He needs a good child. He needs a son, not wine.
Mm-hmm.
He drinks it, and then
These ending scenes are hysterical. than these last two. Like, I love them. It's kind of reminds me, like in Psycho, the very end of Psycho, where like they go to the police station and basically give exposition for the whole movie of what we would just watched. I'm like, huh.
Well, basically, it's kind of just this ending is more kind of closure, because you don't know if Henry died or not,
Right.
from being thrown from the top of the windmill.
Yeah.
And he hit that so rough. But it's just kind of, yep, he survived, and here's a toast to hope he has many grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the happy ending to this story, sort of.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But, I mean, that's how these movies were. Like, even when we just watched Dracula, the ending to this movie was, oh, we killed Dracula, let's walk up some stairs now. And that's it.
Yep.
That's the ending. It's like, excuse me, ma'am?
Yeah. They don't, it's very hard ending. No gradual, this is the end. It's end.
Yep. And
End.
it reminds me a lot of the 1980s horror movies where it's like, oh, the killer's dead and cut scene.
Yeah.
That's it. Killer died. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is a lot different, I find, than movies nowadays where it's like, it ends and then we need a conclusion. Like, we need that wrap up of like, what's everybody doing now? Like, almost like a mini epilogue.
What is the consequence now to this?
Yes. Yeah. Now what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you killed him, but you're infected, or that goat is going to now get revenge because that was the villain's goat, or something like that. They gotta kind of keep it open.
Yes.
This is very open book closed. Open closed book. Yeah.
I agree.
Although apparently in the sequels they explain that he survived the fire.
Which is crazy. That would make him even like more fucked up, don't you think?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh. So does he become more violent after this? He must.
Forget. He becomes more intelligent somehow.
Oh.
Like, so he talks later on in the sequels. I think Bride of Frankenstein. He talks because he wants a woman.
Interesting. Which, like, makes sense.
Yeah,
like, he wants a partner,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because when you're the only one.
Yeah, and that goes sour because, yeah. I haven't seen that one, but I've read and I've heard other reviews about it. It sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds good.
We'll have to watch it.
We will.
Yay.
Maybe in a Frankenstein month or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just out of the blue. Who knows?
Never know. So
we gotta have the kill the flick.
Yes. I think, personally, the kill the flick, even though you said he's not dead, I think that the Frankenstein's monster should get the kill the flick, just because of how messed up it is.
I agree. I agree.
Just like...
I was going to throw out Maria's because it was the most impactful. Because
For sure.
her death kind of really started them off.
Yes.
Not Walben's death, not Fritz's.
Right.
The girl.
Who cares
the
about
little girl.
Fritz?
Fuck Fritz.
He deserved to die.
Hunchback jerk.
Yeah, Maria's death is pretty sudden. I just thought this, I don't know, like, the horribleness you feel about Frankenstein. Like, yeah, he did stupid stuff, but, like, if you put yourself in that situation where you're the only one of your kind, technically, you don't have any skills.
But he is also flawed. Like, his
yes,
brain
exactly.
is very,
that's what I mean.
It's very violent tendencies prone.
Yes.
So.
It was literally an abnormal brain.
Yeah.
And it's almost, like a big child that doesn't understand right from wrong. Like, he wasn't taught. He's still kind of figuring it out.
Yep.
And, then he gets killed. Really sad. By his biggest fear is fire. And to be surrounded by it.
I remember hearing that death by fire is like the worst.
Yes.
It's the worst way to go.
Ugh.
Out of horror, how many Horr-Gasms would you rate this movie?
I like this one. I would probably give it 3. I think it was a pretty solid one. Like, I would tell people, definitely watch this.
Yeah.
Recommend it.
Yeah.
If it's findable. Yeah.
I go 3.5.
Yeah.
It's not scary. Back then, I'm sure it was terrifying.
Right.
By today's standards, it's not scary.
Right.
It's a great story.
I was going to say.
It's a classic movie.
Yeah.
But it's not scary.
And it's very nostalgic, too. Like, I found this one more so than Dracula was very nostalgic. Maybe just because of the old-timey wedding and stuff, too. Yeah. It was, you could kind of see the 30s in it. Sort of like the 20s and the 30s. You could kind of feel that.
Yeah.
It was interesting, yeah. I really liked this movie. I liked it more than Dracula.
I did
for
too.
Sure.
I really do like this one a lot more than Dracula.
Yeah. The acting I thought was was just as good too. It's
Yeah.
not better. Yeah.
I agree.
Yay.
And next week,
Yay.
we are doing The Invisible Man.
Yay.
You
And I've
won't-
heard this one's really good.
I did too. You know what? You won't see it coming.
Ha.
Ha!
Ha.
Oh, puns.
This is another one that I really like. And because the Invisible Man just came out again in, I think it was 2019, was it? Or was it
No,
2020?
It was this year.
Okay, it just came out, and the way that they did it was a little different, obviously, but they updated it. And I think it's just, this is another one that's so creepy, is like, you don't know if they're watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've seen a couple of the scenes in this where he's like all bandaged up and like.
And that's taken from, that's this one. And
Yes.
that was redone a bit in Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Okay.
Same idea, different name.
Mhm. I
and,
feel like I've seen it.
You must have.
I'm sure I did.
Basically, and he wraps up first, and then he gets like a latex skin
Okay.
over top to kind of just so people can see him.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a great movie. It's a pretty good
Interesting.
one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for that. That'll be good.
Yeah. But I can't wait to see them because I haven't seen this one. This one I haven't seen.
Okay,
I
you've
have
seen
not.
the last couple?
I haven't seen Dracula. I've seen Frankenstein before.
Okay.
But I haven't seen The Invisible Man.
Oh.
So this will be good.
Yeah,
I'll see this one.
and I've heard it's a good one. Like, of all the older ones, I've heard that this is one of them that is, like, really good.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but I'm ready to find out.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us. This episode was brought to you by our executive producer, Ichabod. We hope you enjoyed your Horr-Gasm as much as we did. Please don't forget to rate, download, and subscribe. Also, like and follow us on Facebook at Horr-Gasm Podcast, Instagram at Horr-Gasm, Twitter at Gasm Horror, and YouTube at the Horr-Gasm Podcast. If you have a movie you'd like us to review, this is the best way to let us know. We hope to see you again next week because we have such sights to show you. Plenty of Horr-Gasms for you to experience. Bye!